Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Sanjna and I talk all things Australian personal finance. So that's things like real estate investing, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and as of recent, speaking about stocks and ETFs. So if that's something of interest to you, please do subscribe to my channel down below. Now, as you can tell by the title of today's video, I want to share with you how to create your financial goals for 2022. I just want to preface this video also by saying that this is non-financial advice. I am not a licensed professional, so please take this with a grain of salt. Okay, let's get started. So there are three main steps to this process to building your financial goals for this year. Now, the first step is to think about the aspirations. Think about the life that you want to live for 2022 and write them down on a piece of paper or on your laptop, whatever works best for you. So these points are basically points around the lifestyle that you want to live. These can be things around the job that you want to have, the location you want to live in, the apartment you want to live in, or the house that you want to achieve this year, or the big luxury item that you want to purchase this year. This can be anything from short-term to long-term aspirations. Write it all down, get it out of your head on a piece of paper, on your phone, anywhere, and have these thoughts sit there, brainstorm, and this will then act as a manifestation sort of technique. So once you've got this all clear out of your head and you know the life that you want to live, the next step is to think about your current state. Where are you currently sitting? What's your status in terms of your financial situation? And this step is what I call the current snapshot. So here I'm going to talk about budgeting. I think budgeting is very important. I will have a link down below to a budget template that you can download for free, and this will give you a good idea of your current financial position. I personally manually do my budget at the beginning of every month for the month prior. So I look at it in a retrospective way, but you can do the opposite as well if that's what works for you. I like looking back and seeing what I've spent my money on, how much income have I made, and I do this both for my personal finances and expenses, but also for my business expenses, of course. Doing it manually allows me to have a better understanding of where I'm spending my money and whether there are ways that I can actually cut down on spending habits, and it just gives me a greater sense of awareness. And I like doing this because I feel that I can really, hone down on the expenses that I've got, and I like to physically see this. This may not be applicable to everyone. A lot of people do not like doing manual budgeting, and that is okay. There are many apps out there today which actually tie in with your bank accounts as well, and they can give you a snapshot of how much you're spending, how much you're saving, and the categories of your expenses. Once you've completed the exercise of budgeting and you know where you currently sit, you'll be able to see a few trends here. You may see that you've got high expenses, you may see that you don't have enough savings, or you don't have enough money invested, you don't have a big enough emergency fund. And this brings me to the next point, which is actioning. This is where you now put in actionable steps and tasks to get you to reach the aspirations that we spoke about in the first step. So after viewing your budget, you may notice you've got high expenses. Now, what you can do in terms of actions is to sit down there and have a look at your budget and figure out ways to reduce your spending. These could be things like cutting down on takeouts, cutting down on unnecessary shopping, reducing the sale alerts that you do get, although this may be a benefit as well depending on how you see it, and maybe cutting down on luxury items and just downsizing in general. The next actionable step that you can take after viewing your budget is to have a look how much money you've got invested. I think this is very important to allow yourself to build financial wealth over time, and this is where I personally suggest, although it's up to you, this is non-financial advice, is whenever you do get paid from your job or whatever income you are earning, I think it's always a great idea to firstly pay off your bills, pay off anything that is outstanding. And secondly, then look at investing your money. And then whatever is left over will be broken down into two further categories. One will be your savings or your emergency fund, and then one will be for your spending. I think it's also helpful if you can set up direct debit so that when your pay does come through into your account, you don't actually see it and you're not tempted to spend that money straight away. Having these automatic transfers mean that you are going to only spend what you have at the end of the day, and this will definitely add to your investing, your emergency fund, your savings, and then whatever you're left with is what you spend. Also, you may notice that you don't have a big enough emergency fund. Emergency funds are funds that you have for rainy days. There may be a time where you need money and you want to make sure you've got an emergency fund for yourself that you can pick away at if you do need it. I think this is very important. A lot of people don't take into consideration an emergency fund and they just invest a lot of their money through. I think a lot of people saw this last year during the pandemic where they got laid off and they didn't have any financial backing, no emergency fund, and they were left to make financial decisions with money they didn't have. The next point is to just instill mindful money habits and be conscious of your spending as a whole. I think if you continually do budgeting on a monthly basis, you are just going to be more mindful, you're going to be more aware, and you're going to understand the steps you need to take to reach those aspirations that we mentioned in step 1, and you're going to make a conscious effort to achieve them. The next step is to lower any fixed costs or any fixed expenses that you've got. So this could be looking at your bill, contacting your electricity provider, your gas provider, trying to reduce those bills and see if you can get a better rate. You could also look at reducing your phone bill, your telephone bill, your Wi-Fi bill. Also looking at your credit card as well and seeing if you can get a better deal. Also have a look at your life insurance policies, health insurance policies, and your mortgage as well. Mortgages are usually something people don't want to play around with because it may seem very daunting, time consuming, a lot of admin work, but think about all the money you can potentially save by refinancing your home loan. And finally, you want to think about your retirement needs as well. A lot of people these days have a FIRE goal, which is financial independence, retire early. A lot of people are working towards that as to how much money they need before they actually can retire from their 9-to-5 job and have an infinite supply of money. So depending on your situation, I think it's always important to think about your retirement goals as well and make sure you are chipping away at those as well. If you'd like to follow my investing journey for 2022 and see how I go about with real estate investing, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and ETFs and trading stocks, then be sure to follow me over on my Instagram account and my TikTok account, Success by Sanjna. That's it for today. I'm going to leave this video here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it and found it valuable, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks, guys.